After that night, I stopped trusting doors. I stopped trusting voices. I even stopped trusting shadows. My grandfather said nothing more. He only placed a small object in my hand, a green roof tile. "If you ever can't run," he said, "go uphill." The following night, someone came looking for me. A woman from the neighboring village arrived just before sunset. Her son had drowned in an irrigation canal. No body surfaced. No one dared search after dark. My grandfather looked at me. "Your turn," he said. The canal ran behind the old burial grounds. Water barely moved, too still. I lit incense. The flame leaned toward the hill. Not the water. That was wrong. I felt the mark on my ankle tighten. Something was already waiting. Halfway through the search, I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, bare. I didn't turn around. The rules were clear. Never acknowledge footsteps you didn't hear approach. The sound followed me all the way to the hill. My foot slipped. The ground collapsed. Beneath me, I tumbled into an old grave. The impact knocked the air from my lungs. Above me, the footsteps stopped. Something leaned over the edge. I wasn't alone. There was a corpse already inside the grave, not decayed, preserved. His hands were folded neatly on his chest. His eyes were open. Pause. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking upward. I remembered something my grandfather once said. "A grave with a green roof tile is under protection." My hand closed around the tile. The corpse in the grave twitched. Slowly, it turned its head toward me. The thing above the grave hissed, not angry, frustrated, as if it had lost something it was entitled to. The corpse beside me exhaled. Cold air. Then, nothing. The pressure vanished. When I climbed out, the hill was silent. No footsteps, no presence, only the grave. I placed the green tile back where it belonged, and bowed. My grandfather was waiting at home. I told him everything. He nodded. "That grave," he said, "belongs to a body you collected years ago. An unclaimed man." "He owed our family," I asked. "So the dead saved me?" He replied, "They always do, if you treat them right." He then added, "But remember this. Each time a grave protects you, the debt shifts. One day you will have to repay it." I felt the mark on my ankle pulse again, stronger. That night I dreamed of graves opening, of hands reaching out, not to harm, but to collect. And in the distance, I saw a man with cloudy eyes and a permanent smile. My grandfather called him by name, Chen Banmu, the man who traded lives for money, the man who would introduce me to something far worse than imitation spirits, something built from 100 corpses. That story begins in the next episode. After that night, my grandfather didn't mention the man again. But once a name is spoken by the dead, it doesn't fade. Chen Banmu. I began hearing it in whispers carried by the wind. And 3 days later, I met him. He arrived at dusk, a thin man, one eye cloudy white, the other sharp and alert. He leaned on a cane carved with talismans. "So," he said, smiling, "you're the boy with the river mark." My grandfather didn't invite him in. "Why are you here?" he asked. Chen Banmu tapped his cane. "Business." Chen Banmu was not a body collector. He was a body suppressor. Where collectors buried the dead, suppressors forced them to stay. He didn't resolve grudges. He crushed them. "Different jobs," he said. "Same danger." He laid a contract on the table. A wealthy family's daughter had died under strange circumstances. The body refused burial. Coffin split. Nails bent. Workers fell ill. "I can suppress her," Chen said, "but I need help." His good eye turned to me. My grandfather stood. This boy doesn't work with you. Chen smiled wider. He already does, he said softly. That mark on his ankle, it's a beacon. Silence filled the room. Chen rolled up his sleeve. His arm was covered in scars. This, he said, is the cost of surviving our line of work. I asked, what happens if we fail? Chen answered without hesitation. Then the family dies. All of them. My grandfather looked at me. His eyes were tired. Once you step into suppression, he said, you stop choosing who deserves saving. We left before midnight. Chen walked ahead, his cane tapping in steady rhythm. Remember this, he said. Collectors owe the dead. Suppressors owe no one. The house we approached was surrounded by paper talismans. None of them worked. The girl lay inside the coffin, perfectly intact. Her eyes were closed, her lips curved slightly upward. She died smiling, Chen muttered. That's never a good sign. He handed me a rope soaked in black incense. Tie her ankles, he said. The moment the rope touched her skin, the room shook. The coffin lid slammed. Shut by itself. Chen slammed his cane down. Talismans ignited. The air screamed, and through it all, the girl began to laugh. Not loudly, politely. When it was over, Chen wiped blood from his mouth. See, he said, suppression always works. He pointed at my ankle. The black handprint had spread. Outside, Chen paused. You survived, he told me. That means you're qualified. Qualified for what? I asked. He smiled. The 100 Corpse Talisman. My grandfather went pale. As we walked away, Chen's voice followed us. When you're ready to trade one life for many, you know where to find me. That night, I dreamed of a field filled with bodies standing upright. All of them facing me, all of them waiting, and at the center of the field, a talisman woven from bones. That nightmare would soon become real. There are some names you don't repeat. Once is enough to let them take root. The 100 Corpse Talisman. My grandfather didn't sleep. That night, neither did I, because we both knew. Once Chen Banmu mentioned it, the path was already set. At dawn, my grandfather finally spoke. It's not a talisman, he said. It's a debt ledger. 1 corpse is an offering. 10 is a promise. 100 is a bargain with heaven itself. It forces fate to hesitate, he said, not obey. The 100 Corpse Talisman was created during a famine. Whole villages vanished overnight. A man who refused to bury his dead learned another way to use them. He bound resentment together, layer by layer. When death came for him, it stopped, just long enough for him to keep breathing. Chen Banmu returned at noon. I'm not offering immortality, he said, just time. The talisman required 100 specific bodies, not criminals, not saints. People who died with unfinished business. My grandfather clenched his jaw. That's grave robbery, he said. Chen smiled. No, he replied. It's redistribution. I noticed something then. Chen never said who the talisman was for. Who's the client? I asked. Chen looked at my ankle. Someone already marked. The room went cold. He led us to an abandoned well. A woman had jumped in years ago. No burial, no memorial. When we lifted her out, her body was intact. Too intact. Chen pressed a charm to her chest. The talisman thread glowed. 99 to go, he said. That night, I felt the mark spread. From my ankle up my calf. My dreams changed. I no longer ran from the dead. They stood still and watched me, waiting. I returned to the hill alone, to the grave that once saved me. The preserved corpse's eyes were closed now, but the ground was warm. A whisper rose from beneath. Stop at 50. I staggered back. Graves don't warn you, unless the debt is already yours. I confronted Chen. This talisman isn't for a client, I said. It's for you. Chen didn't deny it. I've lived long enough to want a choice, he replied. He lifted his sleeve. The scars were moving. Heaven keeps knocking, he said. I'm just asking it to wait. My grandfather stood between us. If you finish it, he said, the backlash won't stop with you. Chen nodded. I know. That's why I need him. He pointed at me. The marked one carries the overflow. That night, my grandfather handed me the rod. Not to strike, to choose. If you continue, he said, you'll never be clean again. I looked at the hill, at the river, at the graves that had saved me, and I understood. I was already part of the talisman. The first 10 bodies were collected before sunrise. None of them screamed. That was worse. As the talisman thread thickened, the sky darkened. Somewhere far above, something noticed. The 100-corpse talisman had begun to work, and heaven had started counting. When it reached 20, someone close to me would die. That story comes next, untold. Stories are still waiting. Subscribe and follow the channel if you're ready to keep listening on the quietest nights.